The aroma of seasoned ribs, sweet corn on the cob, and hickory smoke hung thick in the air, a savory cloud over the sun-drenched clearing of Westbrook Park. Laughter echoed as children chased each other between picnic tables, their excitement a joyful counterpoint to the gentle hum of adult conversation. Frisbees soared over the neatly trimmed grass, and grown-ups chatted in folding chairs under the shade of ancient oaks. It was a perfect Sunday afternoon, and for the Thompson family, it was a sacred tradition. This particular Sunday was even more special. It marked the 6th birthday of little Simone Thompson. She danced around the cake table in a purple princess dress, her face a beacon of pure glee, a plastic tiara glinting in the sun. Calvin Thompson stood by the grill, a spatula in one hand and his FBI badge tucked quietly in the back pocket of his cargo shorts. He wasn't a boastful man, never felt the need to flaunt his status. A 17-year veteran of the Bureau, he worked in counterterrorism and had recently returned from a multi-agency task force operation overseas. He cherished these moments with his family more than anything else, especially after years of missed birthdays and nights away. His wife, Danielle, fussed over the sides, macaroni salad, baked beans, and collard greens, each dish made from recipes passed down through generations. The day was nearly perfect until it wasn't. It began with a single police cruiser rolling slowly along the gravel path near the park entrance. No sirens, no lights, just a pair of eyes watching from behind tinted glass. Calvin noticed it but didn't react. Cops patrolled the area often. But then a second car arrived. Then a third. Within minutes, 4 officers in full uniform and body armor walked toward the gathering, hands resting on their belts. The air shifted. Conversations grew quiet. Laughter faded. The children, with their innocent antennae for change, sensed the shift from joy to tension without a word being spoken. Simone clutched her mother's leg, her tiara slightly askew, uncertain why the grown-ups had stopped smiling. "Can I help you, officers?" Calvin asked evenly, placing the tongs on the side of the grill and wiping his hands on a towel. His voice was measured, calm. Years of interrogation training had taught him how to maintain control in any situation. "We got a call about an unauthorized group gathering in the park," an officer said. His name tag read Officer J. Kendrick. He had a tight jaw and sunglasses that hid his eyes. Calvin blinked. "This is a public park. We have a permit. My wife filed it last month. We're going to need to see that," Kendrick replied, his tone clipped. Danielle stepped forward, her movements a model of practiced grace under pressure, and produced a laminated copy of the permit from her tote bag. "Here. Signed and approved by the Parks Department. It even has the reservation number." Kendrick took the paper without a word, glancing over it briefly before handing it to another officer. But his posture didn't relax. If anything, he looked more irritated. "You folks from around here?" he asked, his eyes scanning the group. It was a vibrant tapestry of mostly black families from neighboring subdivisions, mixed in with a few friends and co-workers of various backgrounds. "Yes, we live 5 minutes away," Danielle said. "Got IDs on you?" Kendrick continued, his gaze locking onto the adults. There was a pause. A murmur of confusion rippled through the crowd. Calvin stepped forward slightly, his stance still non-threatening but firm. "May I ask under what grounds you're requesting identification from citizens lawfully gathered in a public space?" Kendrick's sunglasses turned toward him. "Like I said, we got a call. Need to make sure everyone here is accounted for and not violating any ordinances." Another officer added, "Somebody said it looked like a gang gathering." Danielle gasped, "A gang? This is a child's birthday party." Simone, hearing the rising tension, started to cry, clutching tighter to her mother. "Look," Calvin said, his voice calm but now edged with ice. "You have the permit. No laws are being broken here. Unless you can articulate a crime, I suggest you stand down and let these families enjoy their day." Kendrick stepped forward, his face inches from Calvin's. "You raising your voice at me?" "No, officer," Calvin replied, his voice a low, steady rumble. "But I am asserting our rights. Hands where I can see 'em." Kendrick barked suddenly, his voice cutting through the air. The other officers stiffened, one unhooking the strap on his holster. Danielle stepped between Calvin and the officer, tears in her eyes. "Please, this is a birthday party. We're not doing anything wrong." By now, the entire park was watching. Some people began filming with their phones, capturing the tension, the escalation, the trembling hands of a frightened child as her celebration dissolved into dread. Calvin slowly raised his hands, locking eyes with Kendrick. "You really want to do this?" he asked, his voice a low whisper that carried surprising weight. "You want to humiliate a family in front of their kids over a barbecue in a public park? Name. Occupation?" Kendrick demanded, his bravado returning. Calvin took a breath. He wasn't going to flash his badge right away. He didn't want to lead with authority, didn't want to use his position as a shield. But this situation was spiraling. He turned to Danielle. "Honey, can you go to the car?" "The glove box." She hesitated for a split second, then nodded and went. The officers, caught off guard by the request, didn't stop her. A few seconds later, she returned, holding a slim leather case. Calvin opened it carefully and displayed the shiny gold badge and its card inside. Special Agent Calvin Thompson, Federal Bureau of Investigation. SERIAL number 9143-C, clearance level 4. I suggest you contact your watch commander immediately. The effect was instantaneous. Kendrick blinked, his confidence wavering like a flickering candle. "That could be fake," he muttered, though the conviction in his voice was gone. Calvin pulled out his phone. "Let me dial the local field office. You can speak directly to Assistant Director Mendez, or we can call the precinct and I'll ask for your superior by name." Another officer pulled Kendrick aside. They whispered urgently, the energy shifting again, this time to stunned, heavy silence. The officers retreated a few steps, clearly rattled. "I served a tour overseas," Calvin continued, his voice steady, now addressing the entire crowd. "I've investigated terror cells, broken international trafficking rings, and helped protect this country from threats, foreign and domestic. And you want to harass me in front of my daughter because we're having a barbecue in the park?" Nobody answered. The shame was thick in the air, a different kind of cloud than the smoke from the grill. "I don't need an apology," Calvin added, his gaze sweeping over the officers. "But I do expect accountability." Kendrick muttered something unintelligible and motioned for his officers to back off. They returned to their cars, eyes low, engines grumbling as they slowly rolled away from the park. No sirens, no urgency, just a quiet, undeniable defeat. The silence that followed was heavy. People looked around at one another, unsure of what to say. Simone still clung to Danielle, confused and scared. Calvin knelt in front of his daughter. "Hey, baby," he whispered. "It's okay. Daddy's here. Nothing's going to happen to us." She sniffled and nodded. Danielle hugged them both. Others began to gather closer, offering hugs, handshakes, and quiet support. One of the younger cousins, a college student named Darius, came forward. "Uncle Calvin, that was incredible. But does this happen often?" Calvin sighed. "More than you'd think. It doesn't matter how many degrees I have or what title I carry. Some folks still see only what they want to see." Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the tree line and the birthday candles were blown out, Calvin sat on a folding chair, sipping a soda. The park had returned to peace, but the scars of the encounter lingered. A news van had shown up after someone uploaded a video of the incident. By morning, it would be all over social media. Another example of racial profiling caught on camera. Another headline. Another moment of injustice turned viral. But Calvin didn't care about the cameras. He cared about his daughter. He had made a quiet decision. First thing Monday morning, he'd file a formal complaint against the officers with the city's Office of Police Accountability. And then, he'd reach out to the mayor's office not for revenge, but to demand change. Because next time, the father might not be an FBI agent. Next time, the family might not have proof or a badge or a calm demeanor. Next time, it could go differently. And that, to him, was unacceptable.